What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolve video. Alright soldiers, so we're going to be finishing up the last set of reveals here for set 16, and we're going to be looking at the neutral reveals. Alright, so starting off with our first card, we have Olivia, Heroic Dark Angel. So she's a 5-cost 4/4, you can evolve from one, but she also has Ward. Boom, she comes into play, fanfare, you draw a card. So lots of Fallen Angel support. So like I said before in the last video that we were talking about for Dragoncraft, if they keep printing support of it, it'll actually be really good. And just like that, for next set, I do believe that Angel Sword is going to be a deck that's going to be very good next set, but I'll definitely do some more investigating into it before I actually talk about it in tomorrow's video. But looking at Olivia Evolve though, so she turns into a 5/5, but she still has Ward. But on Evolve, you select them, you fall in the field and deal it 5 damage. But on Super Evolve, you can give your leader +3 defense and then recover 3 play points. Alright, so this Super Evolve is going to give you a lot of play points here. So not only are you going to heal yourself 3 while also having a 5/5 Ward that also deals 5 damage, and then the leader, you do get 3 play points back as well. So you're going to get at least a decent refund. Alrighty, next up we have Ruler of Coctus. So it's a 6-cost 6/6. When it comes into play, fanfare, you deal 6 damage to your leader, but then you put one of each Silent Rider, Servant of Coctus, Demon of Purgatory, and Ashroth's Reckoning tokens into your EX area. Alright, so I know this card was a good staple in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. I think this is going to be a pretty nice card translated over into Shadowverse Evolve, so let's figure out what these tokens do. Alright, so we have our first token, we have Silent Rider. It's a 1-cost 5/5 that has Storm. Alright, so a 1-cost 5/5 with Storm. So if you're really trying to close out the game, I think this is going to be a very good card to have into your EX area. But I think there's only going to really be one deck that's going to be piloting like cards like this, and that's probably going to be Dragon. Alright, next up we have Servant of Coctus. So it's a 1-cost 8/8. Alright, so in Worlds Beyond, this card had stats that was absolutely insane that you weren't able to remove. Now, on the other hand, we do have hard removal in Shadowverse Evolve, and that's very concurrent in a lot of like crafts. So being able to have like removal for this is big, but you do got to remind yourself that this is going to be 1 play point, and they're not really using a lot of resources for this. Alrighty, next we have Demon of Purgatory. So it's a 1-cost 6/4 and has Ward. When it comes to play, fanfare, you select them, you fall in the field and deal it 6 damage. Alright, so way better than what the Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, or I guess the Worlds Beyond version is just definitely a little bit better, but we do have a pretty fairer balanced version for Evolve here, a 1-cost 6/4 that has Ward, but being able to just select enemy, fall in the field and dealing it 6 damage is most definitely going to remove it. Alright, and lastly we have Ashroth's Reckoning. So it's a 10-cost spell, so you can change each enemy leader's defense to 1. Alright, so man, this is going to be a crazy concoction. I can already see this like kind of being played in Glory Finder, where you can just change everybody's defense to 1 and then just kind of like pinging everybody off of like another follower's like ability effect or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, but that's only for Glory Finder. That's the only thing I can probably cooking with here. But if you manage to play the Coctus and then do Ashroth's Reckoning in the very next turn, but like you definitely need to kill your opponent because they dealt 6 to themselves, and you need to really like hit hard on that crackback because we're already in the like the late game. So if they manage to get this off and then swing at you, then you know, hey, they closed out the game. Alrighty, but next up we have Fildal Lionheart Ward. So they are a 3-cost 3/3. You can evolve them for 1 and they have Ward. Alright, so another thing when I do look at these neutral cards is that I do look at their special traits. So there are a lot of musical followers. I wonder if there's going to be like later on and maybe like sets 25. I'm hands together hoping that Shadowverse Evolve is definitely going to stick around for 25 sets. I mean, hey, we have Worlds Beyond going on and they keep printing sets, so I'm hoping we just follow suit. But I think there's going to be like a musical deck that might be pretty interesting. Alright, so looking at the Lionheart Ward Evolve, so it turns into a 4/4 and still has Ward, but on Evolve you select the enemy fall on the field and deal it 3 damage, but on Super Evolve you can select the enemy card on the field and destroy it. Alright, and just that right there, that's Super Evolve where you select the card. So there are going to be cards on the field that are just straight up amulets, and of course some amulets have last words and you don't want to get rid of them, but we have those pesky amulets that are like Magic Train and the Val Getaway card that you kind of just want to blow up so you don't have to worry about them for the rest of the game. So I know on Super Evolve it really probably might not feel like the most like worth, but if you need access to like some sort of removal like that, I think this is somewhere where you can look at least for the neutral class. But of course you're probably going to be using this for the regular Evo just to select them, you fall on the field and dealing it 3 damage, and then you get a 4/4 Ward. Alrighty, next up we have Owlette Doomright Ward. So it's a 4-cost 3/3. When it comes into play, fanfare, you summon a Keen Edge artifact token. And just to remind you soldiers that the Keen Edge artifact is the 3/4 with Rush and Drain. So pretty cool artifact follower, being able to just go ahead and summon something with Rush and Drain so you can trade it into a follower. Alrighty, next up we have Leah Bellringer Angel. So she's a 1 cost 0/3 and she has ward, and then she also last words to give your leader +1 defense and then draw a card. Alright, so essentially Bellringer on crack, I guess, being able to just heal yourself for 1. Unfortunately, she does not have the evolve to let you deal 2 damage or something, but that is okay because we're going to be healing ourselves 1 and then drawing a card, and then we have a nice ward. Alright, but moving on to the next card, we have Apollo Heaven's Envoy. So it's a 3 cost 3/3. You can evolve him for 1, but when he comes into play, fan for you, deal 1 damage to each enemy leader and each enemy follower on the field. Alright, so I remember playing this in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, and this card was just really good, especially in the first set that I did play it. Now in Evolve, this is only really going to help you for certain decks, like maybe like vampires, like that. I think that's the only deck that'll really come handy in, or at least if you need to ping the board for 2 because 2 defense is really like the common denominator, or you need to really like associate with maybe this is at 5 and I could definitely take care of it if I was like if I was at 4. But I think the real takeaway is that we're actually able to deal 1 damage to enemy leader while pinging the enemy field for 1. So it's really only going to really be helpful against like 4 spats. Alright, so looking at Apollo Evolve, so he turns into a 4/4, but on Evolve you deal 1 damage to each enemy leader and each enemy follow in the field. Alright, so essentially you're pinging 2 to the field and 2 to face, which I'm really enjoying the fact that this does ping leader for Evolve. So being able to deal 2 damage means you actually did something in a turn, but let's be honest, most of the cards that anyone's going to be playing is probably going to be healing them too, and you spend a total of 4 play points to deal 2 damage to face, and then 2 to board, which, you know, sometimes unless they were just playing low, super low to the ground, this isn't really going to do anything for a lot of decks. Alrighty, next up we have Divine Thunder. So this is the 5 cost spell, so you can select the enemy fall on the field and deal it 7 damage to it and 3 damage to its leader. Alright, so for 5 play points we can do 7 to a follower and then 3 to its leader, so we're being super active in terms of removal and actually progressing the game. Alrighty, and then we have our last card, Doomrite Resurgence. So it's a 2 cost spell, so you can select a Supreme Token follower on your field that costs 5 or less, then summon a Supreme Token follower with the name same as that follower. Alright, so if this card does confuse you, that is okay, because most of the time when you do play artifacts, sometimes no one ever pays attention to the special trait that it is a Supreme Token follower as well. So if you're going to be playing an artifact, you can spend 2 for this to summon that exact copy to get another one, and you get the same exact effects as the last one. But I think this is only really going to work with the card that we just looked at that was able to get the Keen Edge artifacts. So being able to get 2 Keen Edge artifacts is actually pretty cool. Alrighty, and lastly we have our alts for the set, so do be on the lookout for the SP card of Olivia Heroic Dark Angel. I know that is going to go for a pretty penny, so if you manage to open that, you did win for the set. But I'm not going to shun the U at all because the U does look amazing. Like this card's art just looks so badass. You know, pardon my French for anyone who isn't used to me cursing all the time. But this card is absolutely cool. Like look at her just standing there aura farming. Like the card looks really cool. But alright soldiers, that is it for all of the reveals for set 16. Be on the lookout for the rest of the decks I will be doing in the breakdowns in the following weeks, and the deck list I will be posting and stuff like that, because I know everybody doesn't have access to everything and knowing what these decks look like. But I'm very excited to see how all these decks are going to be performing for set 16. Ready for my cards to come in. I'm ready to test out academics so bad. Like I'm so ready. I picked up my U's at Philly, and I'm sorry I haven't posted the BCS Philly experience yet, but you know, moving the pictures and stuff like that so you soldiers are able to just like have something to look at while I talk about my experience, or if you soldiers even care about that and stuff like that. But alright soldiers, make sure you are safe in whatever you do tonight and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do.